Welcome to another episode of Jez and Friends. Today's special guest is Jack Lunn. He's very talented middle distance runner, PBs of 146 and 345 in the 8 and 15. Jack is also mates with Isaac and Sharm, who are friends of the show. So how's it going, mate?
It's good. Yeah. Good to be here.
Yeah, we're both fresh off Marla's races last night, so it was just good to kind of have a chat and relax. Today's about 32, pretty hot, so yeah, we'll get things cracking. As always, Jack, we start with hypotheticals. So, if you could win nationals this year or in the near future, I'm sure, what celebration would you go for? If you
Um, Not a big celebrator personally. I haven't done many. I tend to come second a lot, so not a lot of celebrations. But the good old, just a little fist across the line is I think celebration enough. Bit of acknowledgement. Nothing too showy. Done it before a couple of times, so I don't have to mind. But
no, we love that, mate.
try and keep that a little bit not too showy.
Yeah, yeah, keep it low key. I've seen a few people
Yeah.
go like with the twirls around after they win. Yeah,
Probably not for me.
yeah, no, that's alright. And yeah, we're talking about this before, but obviously growing up and going to St. Kevin's, what was it like there? Like with schooling and running as well.
Um, Oh, well, it's an interesting take. I think it's I know, a little bit of controversial, but I mean, I had a good time. You know, I was one of the school captains there, and I was pretty involved in like the athletic scene and stuff like that. So, I mean, I had good coaches through athletics, and St. Kevin's do pretty well there. So yeah, we had like a really good program, and yeah, like I mean, it was there was things to deal with, and challenges and stuff like that 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 made us kind of look at ourselves a little bit sometimes. But no, like uh, yeah, I think that I mean from an athletics perspective, we did really well. We had really good. I had really good friends from like cross country and like through the athletics team and stuff like that for a couple of years. Who I'm still friends with out of school and stuff like that. So yeah, from that perspective, it was really really good.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I wanted to touch on the school captain perspective because a few mates, including myself, have been college captain, and like, what's that all like? And I guess before COVID, especially because you got to do a lot more public speaking and events. So what was that like, mate?
Yeah. Well, I was the deputy captain, so one of three of the four captains. And it was 2019 was interesting just because yeah, there was like I mean a few more than a few issues with the school, but yeah, that some of the captains and stuff like that tried to address quite a few times. It was really good, obviously, as you said, like public speaking was a big thing. So once every 3 or 4 weeks, I had the opportunity to kind of go up in front of the school and talk about pretty much what I was interested in or what I felt was relevant to talk about for the day. So um, you know, I did occasionally try and bring things up that I felt were issues, and sometimes I just kept it lighthearted and talked about just like
Yeah, yeah.
things that people might be interested in, or general themes like teamwork or and stuff like that. So I mean that was good as a good platform to try and like have a good way of getting what I felt was important across. And then obviously there was other things that we did that were more just like admin related, but that especially I felt was it made it felt like I was capable of doing something, which was good. Yeah, because not often do you get a chance to stand up in front of like 1,000 or so people and get to just say um what you think is important, or what you can do or what others can do potentially that might make the school or just in general um life a bit more
Oh
manageable.
yeah, 100%, mate. And you like spoke about having, was it four deputies? Did you say, or
Yeah, there was three of the deputies, and
three
then we had a
deputies?
full captain who was the yeah.
Oh, it's interesting because our school we had like two college captains and then two deputies. So it's interesting how like each school does it differently and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah. I guess yeah, we'll flip the script a bit. Obviously I'm heading into year 12 now, and you've been there, done that. So I guess, Jack, what subjects did you do, and any tips for myself and a few younger listeners?
Um, yeah, so year 12 is interesting. I mean, and who knows how it'll be next. Sorry about the phone in the
That's all right.
background.
All good.
Yeah, no, but it's an interesting year. I mean, it's difficult for me to give advice, especially to kids who have been through it with COVID, just because I didn't
Yeah.
have to do any of that. So like a lot more of my year 10, 11, 12 was really, I mean, obviously very full on, but very hands on. Um, kind of, it's I think year 12 especially, I mean, there's no one way to do it. Obviously just like for people going into year 12, like the best thing you can do is not burn yourself out too early. Know when things become important, have fun on the weekends and stuff like that, but try and get work done during the week. Um, yeah, and like again, like I know it's pretty cliche, but everyone says to like balance your time, manage your things.
Mm.
And it's definitely possible. Like you can get through year 12 and it not be like the worst year of your life and stuff like that, which lots of people tend to say, oh, I was just holed up in my room studying and stuff like that. Like, you know, if you want to do well, like you have to do the work, but there's, I mean, 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week. Like no one's studying that much. So there's always time to do things that you like to do. And exercise and stuff like that. It's always, you can fit it in.
Yeah.
So don't give up things would be my advice. Don't think that you have to give up lots and lots of your things that you enjoy, um, just to get a good grade, because it's possible to balance everything. I think as long as you just manage your time well and yeah, just get through it.
No, we love that, mate. 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, and yeah, I'm definitely not sacrificing my cross country season for, um, extra schoolwork. So yeah,
Yeah.
100% right, Jack. Awesome. Obviously now you're studying at Monash University, a Bachelor's of Engineering and Science, I believe. So talk us through that, and where your aspirations after finishing that degree.
Yeah. So I started in 2020. Um, so I'm going into third year next year. I actually started studying a Bachelor of Engineering and Commerce. Because I thought it would be good for industry and stuff like that. I didn't quite like the commerce units that I took. I thought they were a little bit dry. So yeah, I changed to science because I quite like chemistry. And I just kind of wanted to study something that I enjoyed and learn something more about it. And if there's jobs that come out of that at the end of the day, then that's great. But it was a little bit secondary. I kind of just wanted to do something that I quite liked, was interested in. Um, yeah, I've only been at uni for a semester, really, like on campus. So 2 years of online's made it a little bit different, I think. Well, yeah, but I mean, so is everyone. But like as I said, I think it'd be different to what kind of your year level experience, just because I'm not sure if they made like the units slightly easier, or if the course changed. I mean, it did change like noticeably, but I'm not, I don't really know kind of what the adjustments were made because of all the online things. It was a little bit tricky just because, you go into a new place, you don't know that many people. It's tricky to, yeah, it was a little bit difficult to kind of contact people that you haven't met before. Whereas at school, I mean, it's kind of easy to just like send a message to someone, how do you do this? What's going on? Yeah, just because you know them. But that's just challenges that you have to face. So it's a little bit about getting yourself out there, which I mean, I'd like to do a little bit more in the next couple of years that I'm at uni, just because I felt like, with all the other things going on, I found it a little bit tricky to really get involved, get myself out there at uni,
Yeah.
which is a little bit of a regret. So I'm hoping that I can get on top of that for next year, and figure out what's going on. Yeah, I still have to make up my mind about engineering this year. But yeah, I figured out, I think I'm gonna do a chemistry major, which is like lots of fun. And yeah, like we'll just see from there, whether, into a job, or if that takes me somewhere else.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And yeah, you spoke about person to person contact. Do you reckon that makes a huge difference? Like, with uni, like joining clubs and all that, and just being involved instead of like the cliche online type learning we've been doing the past couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like clubs and stuff like that. Sometimes, I mean, I've kind of almost gotten to a point where I'm just figuring I don't really have the time of day to do, because I've heard that clubs are quite Obviously, that's not a deterrent to anyone else doing them.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the way that I've managed my time is that I probably try and get myself socialized and involved. I don't know if clubs will be quite the way that I do that. It was more so the difficulty in being just like with little things that you might find um, you could easily solve a problem like if you were in person. I always bring up the example because I was really annoyed about it. Was I just had like a coding unit to do, and basically we had to do something simple like download the actual software to do the code on. Um, and my computer was having a couple of issues just because I didn't click some permission boxes and stuff like that. And online it was a little bit tricky because you had to like contact the TA. So I've got an issue. They have to like look at a share screen and stuff like that. And when you got a TA online, it's like between 25 people, one TA. You got to go into a breakout room. So that problem didn't get resolved for 2 or 3 weeks. Whereas I just know if I was like in a classroom or something like that, or in like a uni, like a lecture hall or whatever, I could just probably bump the person next to me and say like, what'd you do to make it work? And then it would have all been sorted. So like, I only found that the actual processes at uni sometimes took a little bit longer um, because there was quite a bit of admin involved in getting help, whereas it would be slightly easier on campus. But again, like, it's a, it just comes with, with the times. And like, I mean, lots of people have had it harder than uni students. Over COVID. So like if a little inconvenience of 2 or 3 weeks in some one coding unit is like the most I've been inconvenienced, then that's just what it is.
Yeah, hopefully it's behind us now with COVID and all that. I presume it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess yeah. Let's move on to the main focal point, which is your running, Jack. So, middle distance running is very different. Like I spoke earlier about Peter Bowl and Luke Matthews, their training week. How does the training week look like for you, and what's your shoe rotation?
My training week is very similar to probably more, well, I mean, more similar to Pete Bowl than it would be to Luke Matthews. So um, I try and keep it pretty low mileage, which sometimes makes, people in my team and my coach and stuff a bit stressed out because there's not that many Ks being put down. But like it works for me, try and avoid like injury and stuff like that. But I'm pretty tuned with when I'm too sore to train like really hard or to run like long Ks. But yeah, I basically do like a 45 to 60 minute long run on a Wednesday and a Sunday, um, and then do some speed work on a Monday, if that's doable with work and uni and stuff. And then we do proper like squad training on the Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And that's kind of split into a anaerobic and then an aerobic and then kind of a mixed hills session maybe over those 3 sessions. And yeah, like basically those Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, 3 days a week. You do your warm up, cool down, probably like 12 Ks each, or so covered, or maybe a little bit less. But yeah, like those ones are usually pretty intense, and then the other runs are kind of just to recover and maintain between those sessions, which I think works well, especially just because like our squad's kind of a young squad with lots of uni students who have quite hectic timetables in terms of like cash employment and stuff like that. So we get together on Thursday and Saturday as a full squad, and then we kind of get into subgroups on a Tuesday. And like, yeah, like it works really well. Like it's good to have a few training partners, but obviously like, we've got like 18 people now in Rise and TC. And yeah, it gets a little bit tricky sometimes to balance this 18 people's timetables to all, 12 to 18 kind of on any given week. It's people's timetables to align at the same place 3 times a week. So I think the 2 times a week works really well. And then, yeah, like it's just about getting that work in by yourself to make sure that you're right and ready for those sessions. And then, yeah, obviously, again, like it fluctuates between like racing season, winter season, when you've got races and stuff like that. But yeah, like I think that as a general rule, that kind of programming works really well for me, at least.
Yeah, that's amazing because obviously, we all have different timetables, and twice a week I feel like is a sweet spot as well with training groups, I guess. And speaking about Rising TC, like, what makes it so fun? Because you guys like on the Insta workouts look pretty fun.
Yeah, like I think it's just that we've kind of, everyone's very similar ages, similar interests. Everyone's like yeah, I just think we have like a good little group going where people are a bit like interested in and enjoy running. And like you would know, anyone would know, like running's really difficult to do by yourself. So if you've got like 8 or 9 people around you who are equally as enthusiastic to kind of do something, and encouragement and support's a really big thing there. So like, yeah, to have a group where you've got kind of people with similar interests who you can chat to on a warm down or a warm up or between reps and stuff like that, kind of take your mind off the pain of like the actual sessions and stuff like that. Or even like, share the pain of a session and like be satisfied with like how quick rep times were and stuff like that. Yeah, it just makes things a lot easier. And like a lot more enjoyable. Like I think that most of the enjoyment of running, and any runner would tell you, is like, sharing success with other people. So it's really good to have that many people whose schedules can align and who are that interested and stuff like that to all come together twice a week, and you get to share stories of what happened over the week and talk about what's coming up for racing and stuff like that. And yeah, it's really great to have people always like, I mean, you would see that the colors are pretty standing out, and
Yeah,
lots of people come
100%.
even those smaller milers meets and show support for each other. I think it's really good. Just that kind of culture is an awesome one to share, and I'm glad that other people are noticing.
Yeah, we love that at Marla's. And speaking about Marla's, what's your kind of favorite workout and most dreaded workout, Jack?
Well, that's a good question because I probably have we we kind of balance a lot of uh, manageable sessions, during the off racing season, and then we kind of have these sessions, especially for 800s, that are like marker sessions or kind of determining sessions of how quickly we run an 8. So I can kind of name 3 sessions, maybe actually I could name 4 sessions
Go for it.
that are really that are good, that I quite enjoy doing because they really like they kind of simulate racing. So basically, our group does where we try and get as many people as we can together, even if they're 1500 runners, 15 or 8 runners, and we do a session where it's a 400, and usually for the 1500 guys, it's a 600, and that's it. Kind of faster than first lap race pace is the idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, so for me that kind of is like a 50 or a 51 400 to start, and then we do 8 twos or 10 twos, and the 1500 guys will do like 8 or 10 500s, and that's at real like tempo areas, quite slow. So I'll do those like 32, 33, like off 30 seconds, and they're like recovery 200. So maybe even a bit slower, 34, that kind of thing. And the 500s will be again like at maybe 315k pace. So those are recovery areas, and then you have like 8 or 10 minutes after those, and you do another 400 as again attempting at the same pace, which is hard. So then you try and finish 49 or 50, and it's brutal, but it's really good to do. To kind of simulate the lactic that you might get towards the end of an 800. That one's a good one. The other good one is we do a 5 by 300, and that's it, off 4 minutes. And that one's really, it doesn't sound too tricky, but it's really brutal. Like the last couple of threes, you've got your full lactic. And those are usually trying to be hit again at like about first lap 800 pace. So kind of for me, that'd be trying to hit around like a 52. I mean, it's optimistic, but trying to hit around like a 39-second 300 thereabouts. Yeah, which again is not easy, but it's good fun. And yeah, I mean, I could keep going on, but there's some really good ones. Like it's like a 200, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, which is something you do before a race. Which again, mostly is at first lap pace. Basically, all the I quite enjoy them, and they're all basically trying to simulate kind of race conditions, and get you to feel a little bit of that lactic, to prepare for a race. And yeah, it's good.
What about the hills, mate? That's just like strides afterwards, or like.
Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
hit hills quite frequently, like every Saturday. Usually, I don't like those sessions; they're pretty
Yeah.
brutal. I'm like, I always just go like, I love getting into a bit of a rhythm where I take long strides and stuff like that. So I'm a big fan of circle running. Anyone could tell you that knows me well. And hills sometimes cut that a bit short, so I'm not a great hill runner. But yeah, like we do hills kind of on the in between areas when we've got long gaps between races, just because it's good for like putting some work through your legs that's not as strenuous as like lactic sessions. So I mean, I'm not a huge fan of hills, but I know that it has to get done. Lots of people um, do know that it has to get done. But yeah, not my favorite session, but still session that has to be done.
Awesome. And now moving on to a spotlight segment. So thinking long term, Jack, would your goals be like Paris 2024 and Melbourne Com Games in the next few years, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously good to dream. That's what it is. So, um, yeah, I mean, there's plans in the works every year for different things. Like, there's World Uni
100%.
Games this year. You know, there's strong competitions. I mean, obviously, there's really great 800 athletes that are running around right now. Even in Melbourne, we've got just crazy, you know, high level athletes. So, like, I mean, it's great for me and stuff like that. Obviously, it makes it difficult to qualify for any of those big international meets. But yeah, like my kind of thinking is to try and stay really motivated and interested. Try and be improving every year towards Paris 2024. And you know, if that happens, then that happens. That'd be awesome. I mean, I've got a lot of family that are holding hope to try and get over to Europe,
Yeah.
and using it as an excuse. And then yeah, like I mean, obviously that 2026 Melbourne Com Games is a huge goal because that just got announced last week, and
Yeah.
like I'll be 25. It's a really good age to be kind of peaking at running. It's great. It'd be a really cool like venue. I mean, Melbourne, you know, it'd be awesome, wouldn't it? So
Be
obviously
amazing,
those
mate.
are obviously like I mean, you've got to keep those in your sights, and um, yeah, you can't be like telling yourself that it's not possible because then what's the point, you know?
Oh, we love that mentality, mate. And periodization, I reckon, yeah, for any athlete's really important. I'm sure you know all about it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
So you got to, yeah.
Manage it well. I guess yeah, we'll touch on a few more. Maybe one more running question, which is all about diet. I had a chat with a few juniors, such as Doug Buckridge and Bibley, and they were like, "Oh, don't worry too much about your diet when you're like what 17, but what about when you're in your 20s, mate?"
Yeah. I mean, it could be better. There's things that I do think about sometimes. I mean, it's not great. Um, all the time. I have
Yeah,
like had nutrition advice. So I kind of know the general idea of what you should be eating, which is basically just like a lot all the time as a runner. You know, especially if you're doing kind of those high K weeks where some of those guys are doing like 100 Ks a week. The general consensus is like eat as many carbs and you know sugars and proteins that you can. So like
well,
I mean, I've kind of had meal prepping that didn't. It's difficult to manage sometimes just because like time wise it's hard to meal prep all the time, but like the
yeah,
idea would be to have like, you know, breakfast and then like a pretty like high like kind of energy toast and peanut butter like pre lunch, and then you have like a rice and tuna or you know, rice and chicken or chicken and pasta kind of lunch, and then you post lunch with something um, quite like carbohydrate heavy as well. Maybe have like an up and go or something like that. And then yeah, basically just like try and have like 4 or 5 meals throughout the day that are all pretty like heavy. And that should keep you like energized for the week. But yeah, like I mean, it's pretty tricky when you've got other things going on
yeah, it
to
makes sense.
plan that and prep that every day. And like obviously sometimes the food isn't in the house and you don't have time to go out and find it. So there's been plenty of days where nutrition's been off. The kind of important one I'd say is like pre-race nutrition is what I usually always try and
Yeah,
get right, which is like, you know, carbs the night before, making sure that you kind of filled up but not feeling bloated for the whole day before the race, that kind of thing. So make sure they drink lots of water. Basically, it's all pretty stuff. Yeah.
ah, that's good stuff, mate. Um, all right, let's have a bit of fun now. So, these next few will be just more like just your random type stuff. So, let's talk music, Jack. What do you listen to? Like artists, genres. What do you go for?
That's a good question. I had like a lot of Spotify hours last year, like 70,000 or something like that.
Far out,
And
mate. That's 7 times mine.
yeah, and I don't even really know kind of it's very range. I had like a big period of listening to like grime rap, thought that was awesome for a bit.
Oh yeah.
Um I Yeah, I listened to a lot of like Pop Smoke, which is pretty bad. He was my like Spotify, not pretty bad, but he was like my Spotify most listened to artist, which I don't know if that says anything about me, but I quite like his music. Um,
Nah, it's all right.
but yeah, honestly, I'm pretty down for most music. Um, have some disco music for a boogie in the kitchen at night, cleaning up or whatever. So depends what the mood is, but that was my most listened to last year.
That's fair. Mine's Kid Leroy, so I don't know if it's similar, but yeah, going to his concert in May. That's the main activity of this year. All right, so this one's a money segment. So, Jack, have any funny stories either from your running, your schooling days you want to share? I know there's surely one that pops up right now. Could be anything.
um, well, I was I was gonna talk about not even really a funny story, just like the we have a I mean obviously like as you said our squad's kind of like a little it has good like little culture in there.
Yeah.
I always used to think that the funniest thing in our squad was that one of the kids in it like exclusively runs in board shorts. Um, like he rocks up to every training in board shorts and
Dang.
like seemingly only has those shorts that he only like I don't know how he has must have like 100 pairs of them. And then we were talking about Christmas gifts and stuff like that. What do we all get for Christmas? And he was just like, oh, these, and like whipped out like two pairs of board shorts out of his. And I thought that was just so funny because it's like, I mean, there is running shorts, but also board shorts, pretty multi-purpose kind of thing. So I thought that was
True.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm guessing pretty colourful as well. Board shorts.
yeah. No, they're not subtle. So
Yeah.
they're just
I
leaning
love that.
into the curve of getting made fun of for wearing them, which is funny.
Fair enough. This one is books and movies. So, do you have a book or movie recommendation for the listeners? Could be anything.
Um, yeah, I've just reread my favorite book,
Ooh.
which is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. If you've read it, it's good. It's a really good read. It's a little bit thought provoking. That's the idea. I quite like those books as opposed to I mean, I quite like a lot of books, but that one's probably my go-to recommendation. Movie recommendations. That's a good question. I I'll have to think about that one. Maybe I'll come back to you at the end of the segment.
Yeah, that's all right, mate. Yeah, and it's funnily enough, Isaac said The Alchemist as well. So, yeah,
Really?
yeah,
I
he said the exact same thing.
I know.
Pretty sure. Yeah. Anyway,
Good book. Must be.
yeah, must be a
Gotta
good
have
book.
a read. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta give it a read. Quick hands now. So, quick hands. Quick handball. First one is pineapple and pizza. Yes or no, Jack?
Yes.
Same. Yeah. Good on you. Uh, English or maths?
Uh, Maths.
Maths. Yeah. Has to be, mate. Surely.
Sort of. I did better at English than maths, but I
Ooh.
like maths.
Yep. Who's your favorite celebrity?
Um, oh, that's a good question. I don't really follow celebrities that much. I know this is
True.
hot
Fair enough.
hands. Um, but Wade Van Niekerk was my favorite runner for ages. Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
I still love him.
um, where's your favorite place to visit in the world? You've been to a few places I've seen.
Yeah. I my family took a trip to Borneo, which I loved. I thought that was so interesting. I'm a big nature fan,
Yeah.
so I've watched all David. Everyone that
Oh
knows me
yeah, I've
would know.
seen a few of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched about every David Attenborough documentary over the last like 4 months that has existed, and yeah, I loved Borneo. It's like heaps of awesome, like unique wildlife and stuff like that, and really cool like places to travel and eat and stuff like that. Yeah, it was really cool. We went there like 2 or 3 years ago, and I'd love to go back if I can soon.
Yeah, it's great. Like outdoors, the great outdoors
Yeah,
is a good place sometimes. 100%. Last one is most used app on your phone.
probably TikTok.
TikTok.
It's embarrassing. And Strava would be pretty well down there, but
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
can
I
you
made.
do?
Yeah.
It's very entertaining. Passes the
True.
time quickly.
I'm off
So
TikTok, never been on it, so yeah, I'll try and keep it that way, but
yeah,
it's very
try and stay
tempting.
off it.
Yeah.
It's very. There's lots of strength being devoted to it. It could be going into more productive things.
Oh no, yeah. Alright, this one's a bit more serious. So, what's the best piece of advice someone has ever given you, Jack?
Um, well, that's a good question. Also, my dad has always said this every time I leave the house or go anywhere that's kind of slightly risky or potentially
Yeah.
got stuff like that. My dad like always says to me, he's never been like imposing about anything, but he always says like, stay safe, make good choices, which I always think, good for the kids to hear. Um, makes you think, keeps a bit of accountability on yourself. You kind of be like, oh, I shouldn't make this choice because dad said to make good choices. Imagine if I didn't, then he would be
Facts.
making bad choices. That's not what he got told to say. Anyway, I think that's a good piece of advice, as simple as it is. Um, you know,
Yeah, I'll take that
make
on
good
tomorrow.
choices. Yeah,
Because I've got an 18th for one of my mates tomorrow down in Geelong, so that'll be interesting.
make good choices. That's what we
Yeah,
say.
yeah, indeed, Jack.
Stay safe. Good
Yeah,
advice for you.
100%. Yeah, maybe going back, did you get a movie recommendation back? Could name a
Yeah, well,
few.
the one that is less popular, I really is like The Departed. If you've ever seen that, it's got like Mark Wahlberg and Matt Damon and uh, Leo DiCaprio. There's
Oh,
like a bunch of people that like a cop. It's pretty interesting. Like Jack Nicholson. And it's kind of always been my go-to recommendation. But the reason I hesitated was because I haven't watched it in a good while, and I'm not sure if it's as good as I remember it being. But I mean, good watch. I'd recommend.
what's it called again?
Yeah, The Departed.
The Departed.
It's like it's like it's a bit of a crime cop kind of movie. So if you're interested in that,
Yeah, cheers.
could
I'll
be a
watch that
go.
flick. Yeah. Now goals again. So, like for you, Jack, what's next for you in 2022 and beyond? Like, maybe what are your top three goals? Like maybe one running, one uni, one work or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Um. Okay. So top three goals. I don't like to put too much pressure on like
Yeah,
um
yeah.
making things for running because it's quite dependent on how other people go. Um. And there's lots of good runners out there. So I think my running goal for 2022 would just be to like stay motivated and stay at it and like especially because I haven't had a season yet without a PB. Like not that I'm anticipating a season without a PB. I'm feeling like pretty good and stuff like that. But I think it's more just like if there is a disappointing season or a disappointing period of time for running, that my goal is just to stay like motivated and stay interested. And like try and keep ticking the boxes and tick more boxes if they come up. Because I've got those long term goals of like potentially Paris or potentially the Com Games in Melbourne or any X number amount of things. So that's the goal, just staying really motivated, interested, and enjoying it. Uni goal, I think is, I mean, I'd love to graduate. That's my number one priority and goal. Yeah, and like again, as I said, to try and get a little bit more involved with uni would be a goal. I don't know if I could set that in terms of joining clubs or anything like that, but it's more just socializing.
Mm.
Trying to actually like not just be an in and out, get in as fast as I can, get out as fast as I can uni student. Try and like enjoy my time there because obviously I'll be out and about in like wherever I end up after that. Yeah, and then a work goal for 2022. Yeah, I mean, I think that my work goals primarily rely around my like running and uni goals. So like just I'd like to keep working and making friends and stuff like that there, but also just make sure that it doesn't interfere with the goals that I set for running and for uni because I'd hate to like lose motivation for running or um, you know not be able to spend as much time at uni as I'd like because I need to go to work and stuff like that. So just trying to manage my time with work and stuff like that's probably that goal.
Yeah, awesome, Jack. I reckon you have a pretty good balance between running, work, and uni, and you spoke about that earlier, and I'm gonna reiterate again, like the 24 hours, 7 days thing, because too many people are like too focused on that one thing. You know, you gotta like mix it up a little, so you
Yeah,
stay motivated in all, three things, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not. I mean, yeah, especially for school students and stuff like that, it's not easy. Like, you'll probably have to put a bit of thought into making sure that that's all balanced. And you might get stressed or have less time in some periods. But yeah, like as I said, there's enough time to do all the things that you need to do and want to do, without pulling your hair out over everything.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, appreciate the chat, Jack. Obviously, we had a chat about pretty much like high school tips, bit about running as well, and some laughs. So, yeah, I learned a bit about middle distance running and how it's tailored to the individual, not wrapping 100k weeks just cause. And yeah, best wishes to you with Paris 2024 and your university studies, mate.
Oh well, thank you, and thanks for having me on the podcast.